At my niece's birthday party, my sister looked me in the eye and said, "Your daughter's too poor to be here." Before I could react, my mom laughed and added, "We didn't even save her a gift." My little girl heard everything. She didn't cry at first. She just stood there, clutching the gift we wrapped in newspaper, like she wasn't sure if she belonged anywhere. But then, right when I was ready to walk out and never look back, a stranger walked through the door. He said, "Actually, I brought something special," and opened his bag. And in that moment, every smug smile in the room disappeared. I always knew my family looked down on me. They never said it outright, not until that day, but the little things added up over the years. The way my sister would roll her eyes whenever I showed up in secondhand clothes. The way my mother would introduce my job like an apology. "Lena works in customer service," she'd say, with this pinched little smile like she was doing a charity case proud. I didn't grow up poor. My parents had money. Not wealthy by any means, but comfortable. We lived in the same neighborhood where Vanessa still lives. Big houses, quiet streets, neighbors who judge you based on the kind of car you drive. My sister married well and stayed in that world. I didn't. When I was 24, I fell in love with a man who made big promises and disappeared just as fast. By the time Ari was born, I was already back home, working double shifts at the pharmacy and praying I wouldn't run out of formula before payday. My mother wasn't exactly thrilled. She let me move in for a while, but only after making it clear it was temporary, for the baby's sake. Ari is 9 now. Bright, kind, sensitive. She loves to draw. I catch her doodling at the kitchen table or sketching people we pass on the bus. Her teachers say she's gifted, that her imagination is something special. I believe them. I just haven't had the time or money to really give her what she deserves. So when Vanessa invited us to her daughter Kylie's 10th birthday party, I hesitated. Ari didn't even hesitate. She lit up like it was Christmas morning. "She invited me?" she asked, eyes wide. "I get to go?" And I couldn't say no. Not when she looked that happy. I told her we'd make it happen, and we did. Just barely. I picked up an off-brand party dress from the clearance rack, and Ari helped me iron it the night before. We couldn't afford a fancy gift, but she drew a picture of Kylie, a really beautiful, detailed portrait, and we wrapped it in pink paper from Dollar Tree with a small box of friendship bracelets we made together. I did her hair myself that morning, even though I was late for my shift. She couldn't stop twirling in front of the mirror. "Do I look okay, Mama?" "You look perfect," I told her. And she did. The party was held at Vanessa's house, a 2-story colonial with a white porch and balloons everywhere. As we walked in, I felt it right away. That tension. Like the room changed temperature when we stepped through the door. Everyone was dressed in designer brands, sipping sparkling juice out of champagne flutes. There was a dessert table longer than my kitchen, and Kylie was sitting at the top of a gifts throne while adults took pictures. Vanessa gave us a tight smile when she saw us. "Oh, Lena, you made it." Her eyes dropped to Ari's shoes, scuffed white flats we borrowed from a friend, then back up to the gift bag in my hand. I felt my stomach knot, but I forced a smile. I wouldn't let Ari feel it. Gloria, my mother, walked over with a glass of white wine. "Cutting it close," she said to me. Then to Ari, "Well, don't just stand there, sweetheart. Go find Kylie." Ari clutched her little gift and tiptoed toward the table. Kylie barely looked up. She was opening a Barbie dream house from someone and shrieked with excitement. Ari quietly placed her package on the end of the table and turned to come back. That's when it happened. Vanessa, loud enough for everyone to hear, looked at me and said, "Honestly, Lena, your daughter's too poor to be here." I blinked. It wasn't what she said. It was how she said it. Like she was talking about a stain on her rug. Like my child, my Ari, was dirt under her nails. Then my mother laughed, and said, we didn't even save her a gift. Oops. Ari heard it. She stopped walking. I saw her face, that moment when hope turned into confusion and confusion turned into shame. She looked down at the floor, and my heart. I can't even describe the feeling. It was like every part of me cracked in half. I reached for her hand. I didn't say anything. I just wanted to protect her, to pull her out of that house and never come back. I was already walking her toward the door when I heard the sound of tires crunching against the gravel driveway. And that's when the stranger arrived. The second I heard the car pull up outside, I thought maybe it was another parent dropping off a gift. Anything to distract from the heat burning in my chest. I just wanted out, away from those eyes, away from that room. I held Ari's hand tighter, hoping she couldn't feel how badly I was shaking. She wasn't saying anything. That was the worst part. Ari is normally full of questions and curiosity, but now she was just silent. Her head hung low, her little shoulders curled inward like she wanted to disappear. I kept telling myself, just get to the door, just leave, forget the cake, forget the fake smiles, just go. But the second we stepped onto the porch, Gloria followed behind. "Lena," she called, as if I hadn't just watched her smirk at my daughter's heartbreak. "Don't be so sensitive. Vanessa didn't mean anything by it." I turned around slowly. "She said my daughter didn't belong here." "She didn't say that exactly," she replied, her voice clipped. "You're always twisting things." I wanted to scream. I wanted to shout loud enough for every parent inside to hear, but instead, I looked down at Ari. Her eyes were glistening, holding back tears she didn't want to let fall, not in front of them. I crouched to her level, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear. "We're going to go home, okay? We'll make cupcakes together. Just us." She nodded without speaking. And just as I was about to walk us both down the steps, a deep voice cut through the tension behind me. "Excuse me," it said. "Is this the Rivera house?" I turned. A man stood near the sidewalk, tall, neatly dressed in a navy coat, holding a black leather bag. He looked out of place among the pastel decorations and glittering streamers. Older, maybe late 50s. Kind face, but confident, like he belonged wherever he went, no matter who questioned it. Vanessa stepped outside behind my mother. She narrowed her eyes at him. "Yes, it is. Who are you?" He walked up the path with calm steps. "I'm looking for a young artist. Her name is Ari." Ari flinched slightly when she heard her name. I squeezed her hand. I had no idea who he was. Vanessa crossed her arms. "We're in the middle of a private party." He didn't flinch. "I won't take much time. I just wanted to deliver something personally." He glanced down at Ari, then offered the gentlest smile. "You're the one who drew that sketch of the girl with the yellow ribbon, right?" Ari blinked. "Yes. The one you submitted to the Community Center art show last month," he asked. She nodded, eyes wide. "They said it was just for fun." The man turned back toward the adults. "I'm Edwin Price. I'm with the Creative Horizons Foundation. We sponsor emerging young artists across the state. I came to deliver something special." Vanessa raised an eyebrow. "Seriously, this Ari?" The way she said it, "this Ari?" Like my daughter's name didn't belong in the same sentence as something meaningful. Edwin opened the bag. Inside was a long, narrow box and a bright white folder with a gold seal. He pulled out a thick professional artist kit. Markers, pencils, pastels, paint, paper, and a certificate. "She's one of 3 students we selected this year to receive a grant for artistic development," he said. "We'll be hosting an exhibit next month at the downtown gallery, and we'd like Ari's drawing to be featured front and center." I stared, stunned. So did Vanessa. So did everyone else who had followed us onto the porch. Ari's mouth opened slowly. "My picture is going to be in a gallery?" Edwin smiled. "It already is. The organizers hung it up this morning." I looked down at her. For the first time that afternoon, she looked alive again, hopeful, not embarrassed, not invisible. Gloria tried to recover. "Well, I mean, that's wonderful. Maybe Vanessa's daughter could be included too. She's very creative." He looked at her and said, without skipping a beat, "I've seen your granddaughter's glitter slime TikToks. Very colorful." A beat of silence passed. I could barely stop myself from laughing. Edwin handed Ari the art kit with both hands like it was something sacred. "This is for you. I hope you keep drawing, Ari. The world needs what you see." She clutched it to her chest like it was the greatest treasure she'd ever received. Vanessa looked like she'd swallowed a lemon. Gloria looked equally stunned. I didn't care, because in that moment, for the first time in years, I felt like we were finally being seen. I stood there frozen for a moment, watching Ari hold the art kit like she was afraid someone might take it away. Her little fingers were gripping the edges of the box so tightly. I could see the whites of her knuckles, but she wasn't shaking anymore. She was glowing. All around us, the front porch had gone silent. Even Vanessa, who always had something smug to say, couldn't seem to form words. Gloria stood with her arms crossed, lips pressed so tight they turned pale. The woman who had laughed at my daughter, my own mother, now looked like she had swallowed every word she'd ever used to shame me. And I didn't feel small anymore. For so many years, I had let them talk over me. I'd let their judgments pass through me like cold wind, stinging but never spoken back to. I told myself I was keeping the peace, that it was better to stay quiet than to escalate. But now, standing next to my daughter, seeing the light come back into her eyes, I realized that peace was just another word for silence, and silence was no longer an option. I turned to Edwin, still stunned by his calm presence and the way he'd handled everything with such quiet grace. "Thank you," I said, my voice steady now. "Not just for the gift, for seeing her, for showing them who she is." He gave me a small nod, like he understood more than he let on. "You raised a remarkable young girl." Ari looked up at him and whispered, "Thank you for choosing me." He crouched down again and smiled. "I didn't choose you. Your work chose me. I just listened." When he left, Vanessa finally spoke. "Well, I mean, that's sweet and all, but I still think it's inappropriate for him to crash a child's party like that." I turned to her, finally lifting my chin. "Inappropriate," I said, not loud, but with weight. "You humiliated a 9-year-old in front of strangers. You called her poor like it was a disease, and you're worried about what's inappropriate?" Her mouth opened, then closed again. Nothing came out. Gloria stepped forward, trying to fix things like she always did. Not with sincerity, but with manipulation. "Now, Lena, you know how your sister gets. She didn't mean it." I locked eyes with her. "She meant every word, and you laughed." She blinked. That one hit her. I turned to Ari and crouched down to her level. "You ready to go, sweetheart?" She nodded. "Can we still make cupcakes?" I smiled. "You bet we can." And just like that, we turned and walked back down the path past the rows of expensive SUVs and carefully staged party decorations. Every step felt lighter. Not because anything had changed. Vanessa would always be Vanessa. Gloria might never apologize. But because for the first time, I had stopped playing along with their performance. And more importantly, so had Ari. On the ride home, she sat in the back seat, quietly flipping through the art kit like it was a storybook. I caught her smiling once, just a little, and my chest ached in the best way. I asked, "You okay back there?" She nodded. "I didn't think anyone liked my drawings." I kept my eyes on the road, trying not to cry. "Ari, I like your drawings. I love them. But that man, he didn't just like them. He believed in them." She leaned her head against the window, holding the art set tight. "I think I want to draw every day now." "You should," I told her, "because what you see matters." And in that moment, I made a decision. Not just to leave that toxic part of my family behind, but to step into the life I wanted for us. One where Ari never had to feel like she was less than. One where I didn't shrink to make others comfortable. One where the strength I found today wasn't just a reaction. It was the new standard. Vanessa might have had the biggest house. Gloria might have thought she had the loudest voice. But my daughter, she had a voice that didn't need volume to be powerful. And from now on, I was going to make damn sure the world heard it. The following Saturday, I stood at the back of the downtown gallery, arms crossed, trying to keep my nerves from getting the best of me. The exhibit was already packed. People dressed in sleek coats and clean shoes walked from piece to piece, sipping sparkling cider and murmuring to one another. There were kids, families, older couples, students, all drifting through rows of brightly lit artwork. And in the center of it all, framed on a pillar with a soft spotlight glowing down, was her drawing. Ari's drawing. The girl with the yellow ribbon. It was exactly how I remembered it when I found it in her sketchbook. A pencil rendering of a child standing in a field, smiling quietly as the wind caught the ribbon in her hair. There was so much feeling in that little sketch, so much life in the eyes and detail in the folds of her dress. I remember when I first saw it, I thought, this can't be from a 9-year-old. Now, dozens of strangers were staring at it with the same awe. A man beside me leaned over and whispered to his partner, "That one's my favorite." I smiled. They didn't know I was her mother. They didn't need to, because this was about Ari. A moment later, Edwin spotted us from across the gallery. He walked over with the same warm smile he'd worn that day on the porch. "Lena," he said, "I'm so glad you came." "Wouldn't miss it," I said. "She's been talking about it every day." Ari stood beside me, nervously fidgeting with the sleeve of her cardigan. She was dressed in the only nice outfit we could manage, her hair pulled back into a braid, her cheeks glowing with a mixture of pride and pure disbelief. Edwin crouched down beside her. "You ready for your surprise?" Her eyes widened. "There's more?" He grinned. "We had a lot of people interested in your work, but one person in particular wanted to meet you." Before I could even ask who, I heard the low hum of cameras clicking. Across the gallery floor, a local reporter was walking in with a small camera crew and a microphone. Right behind them, the city's deputy mayor. He walked straight over, extended his hand, and introduced himself. "I just wanted to personally congratulate you, Ari," he said, bending slightly to look her in the eyes. "Your drawing was chosen not just for its skill, but for how it made people feel. That's a rare gift." Ari looked up at me, then back at him. "Thank you," she whispered. The deputy mayor smiled. "We're also starting a youth arts fund next month. And your drawing is going to be featured on all the flyers and posters. Thousands of people are going to see your work." Her eyes lit up like stars. I felt my heart swell in a way I didn't even know was possible. I wanted to reach out, scoop her into my arms, and hold her forever. But I didn't. She didn't need me to protect her in that moment. She was standing tall, all on her own. As the crew took pictures of her by the drawing, I stood back, watching it all unfold. I noticed Vanessa arrive late, dressed to impress, dragging Kylie behind her. Gloria was there too, clutching her designer purse like it was armor. They saw Ari standing by the artwork. They saw the cameras. They saw the crowd surrounding her. And for the first time in my life, I saw something I never thought I'd see in either of their faces: shame. Vanessa gave me a tight, fake smile. "Didn't realize this was such a big deal," she said through gritted teeth. I nodded slowly. Neither did I. I didn't need to say more. I wasn't there to make them understand. I was there to celebrate my daughter. When Ari came running back to me, holding a little ribbon one of the organizers had given her, "Featured Artist," printed in gold, she threw her arms around my waist and whispered, "Mama, they liked my drawing." I knelt down, kissed her forehead, and held her close. "They didn't just like it," I said. "They saw it, and they saw you, just like I always have." And right there, in the middle of that gallery, I knew that this moment would change everything. Not because we'd proven anyone wrong, but because we'd finally proven us right. That night, long after the lights dimmed and the gallery emptied, I tucked Ari into bed and sat beside her until she fell asleep. She had placed the art kit on her nightstand like a treasure chest. Her ribbon was pinned to the corkboard above her desk, right beside one of her newest sketches, a drawing of the gallery, filled with people admiring her work. She didn't say much on the drive home. She didn't need to. Her silence wasn't the kind she wore at that birthday party, heavy and hurt. This was a quiet kind of joy, like her heart was too full to speak. As I sat there in the dim glow of her nightlight, I thought about how much had changed in such a short time. Not just around us, but inside me. For so long, I believed silence was survival. I thought if I kept my head down, played nice, avoided confrontation, I could protect Ari from the judgment and cruelty I'd grown used to in my own family. But now I realize that silence was just another way of telling my daughter to accept being less than. And she never was. That day at Vanessa's house, I didn't just walk away from a birthday party. I walked away from a lifetime of needing approval from people who never truly saw us. I stopped chasing respect from those who only knew how to measure worth in things. Houses, gifts, money, appearances. They couldn't see the value in quiet resilience, in scraped together gifts, in a little girl who spent hours crafting a card by hand because she believed kindness should be personal. But someone else did. Edwin didn't just bring an art kit, he brought recognition. A moment that told Ari she mattered, that she wasn't invisible. And more than that, he reminded me that there are people in this world who look past surface-level status and see heart, talent, and truth. I think about Gloria now and feel nothing. That used to be the hardest part to admit. How much I wanted her love, her approval, her warmth. I chased it for years, thinking if I just worked harder, kept quieter, was more agreeable, maybe one day I'd be enough. But I was always enough. She just wasn't able to see it. And I'm finally okay with that. As for Vanessa, I haven't heard from her since the gallery. She sent a text the next day. Congrats again, hope Ari enjoyed her moment. I never replied. I didn't need to. Some people only reach out when they feel left out, when they realize they're no longer the center of attention. That moment at the gallery was a mirror Vanessa couldn't avoid. She saw herself clearly, and I didn't have to say a single word. The next week, Ari was invited to speak at her school assembly. They asked her to talk about her drawing, how she got selected, and what it meant to her. She was nervous at first. She stood on stage gripping the mic with both hands, her voice barely louder than a whisper. But then she said something that made every teacher and parent in the audience sit up a little straighter. My mom says what you see matters, that just because we don't have everything doesn't mean we have nothing. I used to think being quiet meant I didn't belong, but now I know I can be quiet and still be powerful, I cried. Not the messy, gasping kind, just soft tears. The kind that come when you see someone you love stepping fully into themselves. After the assembly, her teacher came up to me and said, she's going to do incredible things. I smiled and said, she already has. We still don't have much. I still work 2 jobs. The car still sputters in the cold, and I still pray before every rent check clears. But something's different now. Ari walks taller. I speak louder. And we both know that our worth has never been tied to what we have. It's always been about who we are. Some days are hard, but now we meet them with a kind of quiet strength neither of us had before. And to think, it all started with a birthday party we were never supposed to belong at. Now, we throw our own. And everyone is welcome, as long as they lead with kindness. Because in this house, we don't measure people by what they bring to the table. We just make sure the table is big enough for them to sit at.